من ملذات الحياة، يعني تأنس، لأن مجالسة الكتاب أحسن من مجالسة أي شيء في الدنيا. وأنا ما عندي أصدقاء ولا عندي مزرعة ولا عندي رحلات ولا عندي، فغالب يعني متعتي في هذا، أدور حول هذا. الكتب من ملذات الحياة، يعني تأنس، لأن مجالسة الكتاب أحسن من مجالسة أي شيء في الدنيا. وأنا ما عندي أصدقاء ولا عندي مزرعة ولا عندي رحلات ولا عندي، فغالب يعني متعتي في هذا، أدور حول هذا.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hope you're doing well. So, I really like this clip from the Sheikh because I resonated with a lot because I like to read. And he mentioned how he finds comfort in books, right? They bring him joy. They are an enjoyment of life. And he mentioned about not having any friends or estate or farms and such that bring him as much joy as books. This made me think about when I had a red pill Muslim guy mock me for saying how, I don't have a lot of female friends. And then I made a video later on my second channel, on this channel, which is my second channel, Bibliophile Hermit, about, what a friend really is and how we confuse acquaintances with friends. Friends denotes fellowship and a strong bond. And you're lucky in your life if you've got 3 real friends who would take care of your kids if you died, or house you if you became homeless, or help you if you needed medical attention, or you name it. A lot of people think they have friends just because these people say hi to you. They could just be networking, using you, only liking you because you have followers and whatnot. Okay? And so I really enjoyed that part, and I've always tried with my main channel and this channel, and on my Instagram and my blog, to encourage people to read, learn, expand their mind, do a lot of introspection, self-reflection, really meditate your mind upon certain issues and try to see nuances and how to really flesh out ideas and stuff like that. And what's great is through reading, I have really gotten to learn more and be humble and also have more patience. Now, I have ADD and ADHD. People will, and I don't take any type of medication for that. People will make excuses that they can't read because they can't really focus their mind. But I would argue, if you have the right kind of author, you can start reading and you can push your mind to get it done. And I've demonstrated this by diligently being consistent over the years on finishing books and on and off the channel, and then discussing them and really showing how it's possible to work through your short attention span and to really get it to be longer. Okay? And I encourage you to buy books, read them, and some you'll put in the recycle bin, obviously. Some you'll keep, and some maybe you'll give to others. But the point is that you're engaging your mind in the acquisition of knowledge. And I've had people, when I was arguing about some behaviors of Faisal Hamadi's mods in his chat, one troll came to my channel and said, all you do is read, which is easy. And I thought to myself, if reading was so easy, why is the literacy rates going down in America? And why do so few people read books at all anymore, if it's so easy? And then I thought about how in college, you literally have to read books to take tests. And if you want to be a scholar, you have to read books. So I thought that was quite odd to say, And reading a book and digesting it, comprehending it, sharing your ideas with people is a lot harder to do than somebody doing a reaction video to something Candace Owens said or something that Ali Dawa said, right? those sort of clickbait reaction videos are easy content compared to listening to an author's ideas and presentation of a subject that you're not familiar with. Because as you read, you're going to realize what you don't know, and you have to be more humble. You have to hear what the author has to say. And I've read books I disagreed with the author, others I was neutral, and others I liked. And I've critiqued some and endorsed others, and felt a sort of gray area nuance by the end of some. And the point is that it's a form of entertainment, joy, and the passing of knowledge, and it doesn't require electricity, right? With everything becoming digital, you do lose out on some physical things. Now, physical books, the fire, floods, getting ripped, yeah, they can be damaged. But having the physical book is great. And as certain countries expand censorship and firewalls, and AI can mislead hadiths and misquote them, you begin to realize the necessity of having a good library, and to have books as a form of inheritance. And you never know when a book will become useful and you want to give that to somebody as a gift. It's just wonderful. And so I've always tried to help people enjoy reading, and I've read hundreds of books throughout my life, and it's just a passion of mine. And I think if more housewives read, if more women read in general, and read things they weren't comfortable with, they could actually get thicker skin. And it's really funny when I would argue with some people online. Like, for example, there's a guy called the Friendly Ex-Muslim. His wife is quite snarky and sassy. And one time he was making a video, a live stream, against Brother Muhammad Hijab and a certain event that happened in his life. And I was, saying contrarian views, but respectfully. And his wife said, if I look up your name, am I going to see stuff for Roblox? And, what kind of person are you? Like, she was trying to just say that I might not, she claimed she didn't know who I was, even though her husband knows who I am. But she tried to take me down a peg and make it sound as if I'm an unlettered person. Now, I think we never stop learning till the day we die. You can't know everything. And you have to keep pushing your mind and learning. But I just thought it was interesting that here's this woman who has no proof of what she knows. And there's no evidence that she's smart or anything like that. And she's mocking me, someone who takes so much effort and time to discuss different topics, to learn about different topics, and has the patience and diligence to do it. And books are a heavy part of my life. And to try to remember what you learn from these books, to annotate, to inspire others. And yet she kind of saw herself as superior to me, simply because she isn't Muslim and I am. She automatically assumed because I'm Muslim and I'm not believing her slander against Brother Muhammad Hijab that I must be some low IQ dolt. And her first attack, like many others, is to basically insinuate you should go read a book. You're ignorant. I always found that interesting, that there's a commonality of people will tell you to go read a book, not tell you which one. They themselves may not even have finished a book that month, but they'll tell you without even knowing if you do read a lot, you should go read something. And books become a kind of weapon. Whereas me, I've learned over time to be more humble with how much I've learned, and to really flesh out my ideas and challenge my ideas, but also hold firm to certain principles. Even if I disagree with someone vehemently, and even if they have some good points, I'll still, if I favor my position, I'm not going to be wish-washy and flip the script just because someone has maybe a good point that goes against mine. Right. And so I lead by example. And I remember when I first started my main YouTube channel, there was a hive of people who tried to get me banned and said, you should stop reading books for money. I wasn't being paid to read books. But there was a couple times where Patreon subscribers asked me if I could check out certain books, and I did, and I finished them, such as Hamza Yusuf's Mathra al-Kalub, Islam Between East and West, even though I deleted that playlist. It's not there anymore. And then there was a couple others, but they're gone, right? So I don't keep every playlist, you know. But they were angry that I was reading books. And so I've been mocked a lot for reading, which I find quite interesting. And one of my biggest arguments ever was with Hamza's Den, when I told him that he should actually read St. Thomas Aquinas' Summa Theologica and his works before speaking about Christianity, or Catholicism in particular, because if you haven't actually read what the scholars say, you're not really a voice to be listened to. You're not an expert on anything. Not to say that if you read Aquinas, you suddenly become an expert, but you certainly are more familiar with the terminologies and the principalities, the principles, right? And the ethics and morals and codes of conducts and dogma and rites and systematic belief systems of Aquinas and Catholicism in general. You're more familiar, so you speak more from a point of accuracy and truth and knowledge. But he's speaking off the cuff, memorizing cliche talking points and buzzwords and passing it off as wisdom because he has a way of presenting his rhetoric in a way that seems confident, and this confuses the layman. And Muslims canceled me, and at that time he had less followers than me, and I've been frozen for so long on my YouTube channel and shadow banned and not been able to grow, stayed stagnant, and he's gone way past my channel. And so, I told him that Muslims should read hadiths. You should never stop learning until the day you die. Now, he's heavily edited that stream we had. People have edited it, so the original copy is just out there. And he put so many ads on the first edition that people just got irritated with skipping ads every few minutes that they couldn't watch the whole thing. Okay? But my whole point, my whole premise when I was dealing with that ignoramus was that he was literally admitting he was too lazy to read, too lazy to actually study before speaking. And he mocked me for studying Islam, reading about Islam through books, before converting. Because his clickbait videos are, so-and-so said their shahada because I gave them dawah. Could these be paid actors? Do these people stay Muslim after? And my question was, to my own self, I cannot make an oath to something I don't understand. Okay? If I'm going to put my name on the line and claim something to be true, I must be firmly in tune with it. I need to research it. I need to know what it's all about, Now, having that mindset has saved me from signing my name onto contracts without reading the fine print. Whereas Scamza, is massively in debt, can't run his business, plays video games all day, and, doesn't really have a lot of substantial knowledge. And so I was proven right and vindicated, but nobody really noticed or even cared. But this sheikh represents to me exactly what I was trying to convey to that red pill Muslim on both my channels, on my Instagram, on my blog, to Scamza, Hamza. I've kept this consistent over the past I think it's going to go on 5 years now. Okay? And yet people, they will sometimes not understand me or where I'm coming from. But I've had people tell me, you shouldn't write in your books. And I thought to myself, these people obviously have never really studied and done annotations. They kind of just open books, surf them, But to grapple with a text, to let your thoughts be written down, creates key points of memorization and memory triggers. And that helps you to digest, comprehend, and apply, and retrieve on demand certain information that you learned within the text. And when you want to do a review for a test, looking at your annotations, your notes on the side, the tabs, this actually really helps. And then in the back of the book, you write it down, key points and what pages they were on, so you can flip to it real quick. And so there's a difference between people who study and read a lot and those who don't, Now there's our visual learners, audio learners, and so I like reading stuff, helps me learn more. And then I read it out loud, and this will help someone who learns more through listening rather than them sitting down and reading it themselves. And so I always try to share my knowledge and my passion. And I've been consistent in that pattern. And I think that if more women read at home and, walked away from the Real Housewives of Atlanta or Mob Wives or Bad Girls Club or the nonsense drama channels they watch or novellas, that women would become even smarter and people would stop thinking that housewives are dumb because they don't have a degree. A lot of people think housewives that they're dumb because they're not in college and they're not working and using their brains. They're just changing diapers and cooking, and you're like, that's not accurate. So if you utilize your time by educating your mind on different topics, this will help you. For me, I have philosophy, history, theology, cooking, nature, all kinds of fun stuff, and then current events and historical events. And I've examined poetry, fiction, folklore, mythology, you name it. And this has helped me to maintain my mental health and not suffer from cabin fever or isolation and loneliness and depression, because books are a way to keep your brain flowing, keep your brain strong, keep your cognitive ability functioning at its highest capacity. And so I've always tried to lead by example. So this shit proves to me just I was on the right track and vindicated, and I hope that you can benefit from it too. Let me know what you think. Please like, comment, subscribe. Enjoy the book!